Well. Good evening. This is more A Link to the Past Randomizer League Season 3. We have a race coming for you out of the Invitational League from the Skullwoods division. We have Jet representing the Phendrana Drifters. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I believe that's a Metroid reference of some sort, but I'm not that knowledgeable of the games. And Swerb representing Team Seal W. I'm in the name of DT, going to be joined by my good buddy Sir Link-A-Lot. And we have Bandman25 tracking for us this evening as well, keeping those icons at the bottom lit up for all of you. Sir Link-A-Lot, how's it going?
It is going very well. It's been way too long since we've been in the booth together, though.
It has. I can't quite remember when it was. I want to say fall 2018, perhaps?
Either that, or if we missed that, it was spring 2018. It's been a while.
I don't think it was that far back. I think we might be good there. But if we're going to talk about going back in time and a little bit of history, Jet and Swerb. Oh man, spring 2017, the very first A Link to the Past Rando tournament. They were two of the lucky participants, and there's probably I don't have the full list in front of me. There's not a heck of a lot of people in this league that can claim that sort of history. So we've got a lot of experience, years of playing this game between the two of them, and that alone is sure to make this a very good race. They know the game like the back of their hand. Many of the runners do, of course, but definitely a bit of veteran status going on here.
And speaking about, knowledge and veteran status, it is definitely going to be one of those things where it comes into play a lot, because we are doing with week 2. We've been going for a while in week 2, but it is just the normal kind of open defeat Ganon, 7 crystals to get in Ganon's tower, and 7 crystals to make Ganon vulnerable. So it's kind of the standard what you normally see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, going back to that very first tournament, that was just the standard mode tournament. Open mode at the time was not even a thing, if you can believe that. Open mode came into be soon after that tournament started, toward the end, maybe the bracket stage, and then there was a tournament for that in fall 2018. So yeah, interesting to see the way that the game's developed. We're off starting in 2 different spots. We got a red rupee in Sanctuary and just 10 arrows in Link's house. Here there's a little bit of contention about which place you want to start in open mode. I don't know that one's right or wrong necessarily. What's your preference normally, Sir Link-A-Lot?
Normally, I just start from Sanctuary to be able to get to Kakariko as quickly as possible, but it's kind of one of those feelings, if you do that, how long do you put off Uncle? Because if there's a critical item there, it's huge. And we do get a map check, look like Pendant on Hera. We got a Crystal 5 in Eastern Palace, and just a regular Crystal down in Desert.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as you mentioned, you never know. I mean, if Uncle or the chest at Uncle are going to have an important item, if you start at the Kakariko or the Sanctuary route, how long is it before you get there? Could be a bit, could be not too long. We see a lamp, so nothing that's immediately huge. And that, oh boy, there's a nice gift right in the tree to start this off.
That is not something you want to see. If you want to see a major item up there, you want to just see something you know is required, not something you're going to have to be guessing.
Right. Yeah, so this mushroom, the powder, flute even, I heard about a seed just today, actually. I believe in one of the ladder races that had flute in the tree that wound up being absolutely useless. So you don't want that sort of guessing game on your mind throughout the length of the run.
Not at all.
Just a heart piece in the drop down in the Lost Woods. Yeah, I mean, the big value is going to come in Kakariko, right? That's where all the density is in the early game. Nice of Jet, though, to be taking advantage of these tree pulls, getting 20 rupees at a time out of it, lessening the load for Bottle Vendor, the amount of farming that would need to be done throughout Kakariko.
Yeah, I wonder if he's even thinking about maybe just going and grabbing bombs first before even checking anything else to potentially save time and not having to double dip into the well or the Thieves' Hideout. And that looks like exactly what he's doing.
Very heads up, no doubt. Yeah, because, well, checking the tavern first here is actually even better, I think. If you get bombs here, well, you get plenty of money, so we can buy plenty of bombs. Yeah, it's interesting. The times that you go into like the backup blinds hut or the well, knowing that there's 8 free items and maybe you're not going to find bombs. So yeah, it's just a surefire way to make sure you can get through everything without having to double dip or revisit. So I like this. Meanwhile, Swerb doing the exact opposite, just going to go right into the well, and we'll see if this works. I feel like generally there's a good shot of finding bombs somewhere, but not today, not today. Some health, I guess that's good.
It did give him the money he needed for bombs. He was only at 40, so if he would have went and gambled on the well having at least 10 rupees, he would have won on that one. But if not, then he has to find those rupees somewhere.
All right, now am I assuming the flute must have been in Chicken Hut then, since it definitely was not in the tavern. So this is real nice and convenient as well, just being able to activate this on your first time through.
Makes traversing Hyrule so much better as well. So we're not going to see many save and quits unless we get to the Dark World with no mirror.
And a glove off a bottle vendor. It's very possible we may not see too many menus altogether, with quick swap being a thing. So all that together just makes for a very fast-paced feeling game.
Yeah, the only thing we need now to make it quick is some boots.
That would be nice. And just more health. So I know that Swerve's going to head back into the well and check that, but he's not missing anything, which is fortunate, but the time's still going to be spent, so it all kind of washes away. Kind of interesting. I mean, like, the way that the runners have gone through Kakariko makes perfect sense, given the money and bomb situation, but how often do you see Blind's Hut done last?
Not too often. Normally, Blind's Hut is that first thing, because you usually have bombs or just something, or you gamble on it, but yeah, usually rare that Blind's Hut is your last, but then we're going to have to go all the way south through Kakariko to check library and race game after this, I'm sure, too.
Right. Oh yeah, they're not going to leave that. There's nothing here, so a little bit of money, I guess, is good as a buffer. I'm guessing Swerb hasn't made it down to the tavern yet, because he's not sitting at that 300 plus mark. Good amount of money for Zora. We're not far off from that 500. We have glove. So Zora's actually in logic, and that's something, if you have the glove early or you have the flippers early, it's good to be able to have that money right away as well, so you just don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, definitely. Getting lamp as well is just kind of, where do you want to go now? Because technically, you could head up, or I guess Swerb has lamp. Jet doesn't, but that would be something like, just going up to the mountain and saving the old man. It's not really a huge time loss. Even if
No,
there's
it's not.
nothing there.
Gets a convenient save point, though, like you said, with the flute, we may not see much saving and quitting. I mean, having that glove, too, the back of escape's an option. If we get a small key there, we could see somebody go through the back of the sewers, the Dark Cross. There's interesting options right now. I think, obviously, we'll see the pretty standard stuff taken care of quickly, though. Very fast flute to 7 to take care of the dam, which has vanilla bombs. And then we'll probably just head east from here, Mini Maldorm, go for the early density.
Yeah, makes sense, because, Kakariko had a couple major items. We got gloves and we got flute from there, but outside of that, we didn't really get anything, so not a whole lot actually opened up. Just, a little bit in Death Mountain, and Zora was really about all that opened up for us.
Right. Like, the flute is excellent fast travel. The glove, you're going to need it, of course, but, I think the big thing that anybody wants to see coming out of Kakariko is at least some sort of a weapon.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good when bombs are still your only weapon, but more often than not, that's usually what ends up happening anyways.
So we'll see if the Mini Maldorms cooperate for Jet. Sometimes you can get the 2 on the left with just 1. He's just throwing them like crazy. I guess that's how it works, though. Started off real well, and then finished it off. So still, 1 bomb per Maldorm is, honestly, that's just fine. Mirror, so there's even more access. Moon Pearl, that's okay. And a sword. So Mini Maldorm is the place you wanted to be today. Tons of money as well. So with that mirror, we know where the lamp is. That's actually going to lead to a fully in logic Tower of Hera, should anybody so choose to do that.
Yeah, I guess we'll kind of see with Moon Pearl and the money at this point. It'll be kind of interesting to see if we see some shenanigans up in Zora.
Mm-hmm. Jet taking his first map check. Yeah, because we could fake Flipper at this point, and at least we'll be able to do the waterfall. At least get knowledge of what's on the ledge. More often than not, that's bad. That's a pretty safe gamble to go there if you can't get that. In fact, I wouldn't even call it a gamble as a result.
I would say more of a gamble if Zora wasn't in logic at all, but at least Zora is in logic up there, so
Mhm.
you're getting a logical check.
Correct. And just some other good ones along the way that you don't have to worry about. So where's Swerb gonna head to then? Down to 8. Okay, so we'll have a little bit of a branching path then. Jet did not come down this way after Mini Maldorm Cave. But Jet's about to pick up that lamp, and with the sword as well, obviously going to take out the rest of the escape. Going through the front and Dark Cross, it's all here. So
And he's already found the map as well, so if he ends up going all the way to Zelda's Cell and doesn't see the key, he can actually just skip Dark Cross altogether.
true. Very good point.
Ice Rod Cave just bombs, though, so just not missing anything by skipping that for now.
But we were talking about this fake Flipper stuff. It seems that that's what's on Swerve's mind this evening. Honestly, I like it. It's a couple of quick things, even if it's not entirely in logic, because we don't actually have the flippers. Oh, that's wow. That's a
That is
spot for the hammer.
And that's some valuable information, because that means Titans has to be our way into Dark World, or we're running Ega whether you want that shovel or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like if we find the mitts, okay, that's great. The interesting thing though is that even if we find the mitts, and I'm just throwing this out there, of course, if the flippers happen to be on the pyramid, then logically Aghanim would be required no matter what, because there would be no way to get there.
That is correct. So maybe we'll see some kern jumps if that ends up happening, but we'll
Mhm.
see where the flippers ends up being first.
Right, that's going to be the big determination here. So yeah, you can make this route early, get a little bit of that game knowledge, you find out what's on the island, as well as just getting a couple of nice quick checks. So fully in logic or not, yeah, no, this is fairly common. I think you'd see a lot of people make this play. Jet heading down to Zelda Cell now. Nothing noteworthy in the front of Escape at this point. Fortunately, having that mirror, so he'll be able to just nope right on out of here instead of taking the slightly more lengthy save and quit. And Ether in the Waterfall Cave. That's a big unknown. We don't know if we need that. We might.
Right. Yeah, no key, so that means the small key is in Dark Cross, so Jet's not gonna be checking that.
Mm-hmm. And I believe the Zora Ledge just had a small bundle of cash. So no worries about coming back here later. Swerve's just gonna pay the big guy 500 and never have to come back here. That's a pretty fair trade. Pretty normal.
Yeah, 500 rupees for, the special 20 rupees off of Zora, of course. Jet does get that knowledge of the hammer location, though.
So it's interesting. You were talking early about having flute and lamp and not putting any amount of Death Mountain in logic. Having that mirror, it's getting more likely that we might just need to go there. So Hasrilla and Eastern, still viable options, of course. I know some runners are going to prefer to put off going to Eastern without a bow. That could just be like an unnecessary double dip at some point. So we may see them head up the mountain beforehand, just as a more safe play, because even though Hera's a pendant, like, we know that we can beat everything in that immediate area if we go up the mountain.
Yeah, Swerb is leaving, and that looks like mountain to me.
Looks like mountain to me as well. How about that?
So I think at this point, if you are a runner, the last thing you want to see is a sword upgrade or the cape right now.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that. You know that there's a shovel in the lumberjack tree. You see where that hammer is. The big thing you're looking for right now, you're really hoping for right now, is Titan's Mitts. Not from the old man, just 10 arrows, but he's home, so we've got a nice comfy save and quit and free heal down the road should we choose to. But within the next couple of minutes, though, Sir Linklatt, we are going to know whether or not, I mean, we might need to make a play like that. It's almost, I don't know if I want to say more likely. We're looking for one item either way to determine whether we do. Oh, there's their mitts, so I will just eat my words as I'm saying them.
Well, it might still be logical. We need to find flippers before it becomes, logical without Aga, but we'll see. But that is definitely Dark World access for Swerb, so we'll see if Jet decides to go Mountain or Eastern. Looks like he's going Mountain as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at the very least, this reduces the bottleneck right now. There's a lot open before we might have to have this conversation again. So yeah, it seems both runners deciding to do the Mountain, perhaps for the reason speculated that double dipping Eastern just isn't quite appealing. Couldn't blame them if that were the case. Swerb just going to go through Tower of Hera at this point. Early big key, so that's nice.
It'll be interesting to see if Jet follows Swerb into Hera. Once you have those mitts, it does open up quite a bit in the Dark World. It's like, do you really want to dive a Pendant Dungeon? Because, the new Hera pot glitch you can't do, and it looks like Swerb was just checking the first one. He's out.
It's interesting. See, I kind of wonder. Actually, he's going to get some good information here by going straight to the Meyer area of the Dark World. Had it been a small key in that first check, I think that bailing on the Tower of Hera would be an absolute. Like, that's just what you do in that case. The big key you could go either way with, because it doesn't take too long to get upstairs, maybe find that one other item. But we'll see if this works.
That looked like Ether for a Misery Mire, and it is a required dungeon because we did get a map check right away. We've got Ice Palace as a green pendant, Turtle Rock as a pendant, and Pod as our other red crystal. So the medallion being that kind of the one unknown when you have crystal dungeons, and already having it feels pretty good. And if it ends up coming down to something like, flippers for go mode because we still need that hammer, it's like we know we're not finding it in Misery Mire.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's the one neat thing about any sort of sequence breaks, is that if you skip a couple of steps and then you find an item, you can kind of backtrack on that, walk backwards, and kind of determine where that item that you need can't be.
This is
anytime that you can confidently rule out locations, that's a good thing.
And this is kind of big knowledge for Jet, potentially. He is making the Hera play upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
I think Swerve's going to be going into Desert Palace as well.
Yeah, no, I like this. One of my biggest things, I always like to get the medallion info pretty much as soon as you can. So coupling that with having the mirror and being able to dip into desert, if it's not boot locked, we can just beat it right now. Well, there's the... Okay. So desert itself is not boot locked. But we need those flippers. Like, ice and swamp could be pendants, for example, and we would still need those flippers in the sea because of where the hammer is. So okay, we'll be coming back here.
Yeah, and kind of we were just talking about how it's that definitely a big play. We got a hook shot.
Yeah, desert just opened this right up. The vanilla big key. I haven't actually seen if Jet got the items yet out of Tower of Hera. Still missing a small key though, I see. Gonna need to find something equally big here, I think, to have this little bit of time be worth it in the end.
It was a small key that dropped, so I think it is in the basement potentially.
I did not happen to see if he happened to get the map upstairs or if that's going to be in the basement. But this is a wide open world for Swerb right now. And we see Jet not going back in. Hopefully we see Jet flute over to 6. No, he's just going to start with Dark World over this way. All right. Totally reasonable. Still a lot to do. Very high density. You've got Thieves Town that we can at least beat and get another crystal fairly quickly. Skullwoods is somewhat quick to get in and out of.
I think the biggest thing as well, it's like when you know where the hammer is, it's like, do you avoid Thieves Town and the chance that you leave an item behind? Just kind of hope that you find the flipper somewhere else first where you just grab the hammer.
You absolutely could. I mean, it's one thing to dip Thieves Town when you don't have the hammer and you don't know where it is. And it's like, okay, I just kind of got to deal with it. But when you know where the hammer is, yeah, that could easily change a runner's mindset into, I'm going to put this off as long as I reasonably can so that I might not have to come back here later. It's interesting how that one piece of knowledge can be so influential in how someone routes.
Yes, especially because it's like, it's one of those things I feel like if you leave an item behind in Thieves Town, it's like either you have to feel really behind to make that play early, or that's just the last location because that's the way you played it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's often no middle ground with that. It tends to be one or the other. So far, just a bug nut out of Skull Woods. We do have the big key, so Jet's going to take a look at this big chest quickly. And a map. So item number 2 still remains to be seen.
Did he not? He's not checking the middle portion, or did he do that and we missed it?
I don't know that he went back there. I'm sure that chat could help us out, because yeah, I didn't see him go back there. It could be quick. He is Jet, after all. Canis Amaria is up on top of Bumper Ledge.
So that cape is required.
Finding a lot of items that we just can't get right now that we know we need. I don't think I would want to be in this position as a runner.
I mean, as Swerb, it's like you know where flippers are at least. So it's like, you know, flippers. I'm sure as soon as we see boots, we're going to see Swerb go right back to desert to go grab the flippers to then immediately go and grab his hammer.
Mm-hmm. And then having hammer, that would immediately open up Swamp Palace. Find a book over in C-Shape House from Jet's End. So, I mean, wow, that's... On the list of items, I mean, we have the cumulative knowledge. Like, we know where flippers and hammer are. Jet does not know where the flippers are at this point, but from where I'm sitting, the book would be, like, the last thing I want to find right now. Like, I don't want more out-of-the-way things that I have to check. Just let me do what's on the path. Hopefully we find what we need there and just not have to worry about it, but wow. We're 20 minutes in, Sir Lancelot, and I don't think I would ever want to play this seed.
No, I don't think so either. I'm happy being the commentator on this one and not being the runner.
Yes. Big yes. We still haven't really found anything over on East Death Mountain either. I know Paradox was barren.
A couple shields so far. And then, yeah, that's nothing to write home.
Last check, yeah, that's it.
Well, hey, that book that you might have just been able to check stuff for, now you can grab the items.
Oh yeah, we got a sword on Jet's side, which, you know what? I mean, I want to say that both of these runners know how to current jump, so we might not see any Aga Tower. But yeah, we still might have logical Aga Tower.
Yeah, we've gotta find the boots. And that puts Aga in the logic, so if boots can definitely be over in the pod area now.
Mm-hmm. There's still a bit of Dark World to go before we have to make that decision. Hopefully. Considering that, we still haven't seen Hype Cave, Digging Game, or Stumpy, I would kind of have to guess that these runners are going to go to the south after Thieves Town, after this area, rather than go up to the north for the Kern Jump.
Yeah, the only reason I would see them going up north, unless they just want to gamble nothing is down there at all, and that just seems, especially considering Swerve's knowledge that he knows nothing's behind the hook shot, really. So chances are we're going to see something on the south side of Dark World.
Well, we might also see something from Sick Kid in a moment. Swerve's got that mirror ready. Just got our first bottle from the bombable hut in Village of Outcasts. Very convenient place with the mirror. Very easy to check on the way into Thieves Town. Okay, I have no idea what we got.
Sick Kid check ever. Kid is moving the walls to Misery Mire and Desert Palace and all those himself as well.
That would be an amazing ability for him to have, wouldn't it?
Sick, all my energy to push your walls.
Swerve's just going south, though. We're not going to see Thieves Town from Swerve right now.
Actually, I guess maybe he's doing this and grabbing the Smith first, and then maybe doing Thieves Town. It would. I mean, you do know where Flippers and the Hammer are. It's just like, can you really afford to skip an entire dungeon? I mean, granted, yeah, you know where the Hammer is, and you might be leaving an item behind, but you're not leaving the boots behind, or the Flippers behind at this point.
And from what we've seen on Jet's end, the only thing that Swerve is leaving behind, well, I guess I'll hold my thought on that for a moment. See if he grabs a Smith or heads north. He's grabbing the Smith. Okay, so he might delay getting a sword out of Thieves Town, and that would, at the moment, be all that we know of. That could have some consequence down the road, depending on how long it takes. I see Swerve going in after the blacksmith stuff, personally.
I hope so, because if we don't find another sword somewhere, the issue becomes we also found the book. That means both tablets are on right now, and if that ends up being boots, any other critical item, how long is it going to take Swerve to check those? Because he's basically going to isolate them now.
Yeah, it's one thing when you can at least get the knowledge, you can read the tablet. I don't know, it's generally much better to be able to get the item right away, but that just might not be an issue at all. Looks like Swerve is actually going to follow through with this right away. So, interesting choice. We know at this point that it's more likely to be correct in terms of progression between Purple Chest, at least seeing what's on the Bombos tablet, and Hype Cave. We've got K45, Stumpy, so there's a fair bit on the way. A lot of checks in a little bit of time. And there's the boots, so that'll get us the Flippers from the Desert Torch to get us the Hammer from the Hylia Island. So, no bow, no fire rod right now, but that is a huge item to get us going on a pretty strong sequence.
That's really good for Jet, because if he was waiting on Desert Palace to have the boots so he knows he can full clear instead of just go there to get immediately kicked out, it wouldn't surprise me to see him make a beeline right after doing Hype Cave to go check that and get the Flippers and his Hammer.
I think that could be the case. The only alternative I can really think of after Jet gets those boots is maybe setting up because he doesn't know where the Flippers are right now, right? So maybe setting up a water walk out of Skull Woods and just going straight for the Hammer right away, which would still be pretty huge.
Yeah, it would be. I guess it's just how much does he want to stay on logic is the main thing.
Right. I personally don't know either of their preferences when it comes to sequence breaks and how far off the path they're willing to go. But we'll get our first look at Hype Cave. There is another sword here, so that's good news for Swerb. There's another sword here, so that's good news for Swerb. What was that? 2 swords and 600 rupees?
Yeah.
Just normal. Just throwback to the days of actual Hype Cave, you know.
Yeah, so I guess depending on how quick it takes Jet to get to Hype Cave and everything, we're looking at, a potential like sub 30-minute butter sword.
Mm-hmm. That is what we're looking at. Wow. In terms of our firepower, that's a pretty good layout right away. Fairly easy seed in the making in terms of that. I don't know, less than 10 minutes from when I said I wouldn't want to play this seed. Maybe I would change my mind at this point, seeing how things are falling into place.
Well, you still have to find the cape. That kind of gets to be the scary part.
That's right. That's right. Kana Samaria on the bumper ledge. And there's just too much game left. We can't really speculate on where the cape is going to be for now.
I mean, I know one place it could be, but that would be really mean, and I'm not going to say it just yet. Curse the runners.
Fair. That's fair. So, yep, as we did speculate, though, Swerb is coming right back here to get those flippers. Misery Mire being Ether, there's still no reason to go in. That would be... Now, forgive me if that's the place you were thinking, Sir Link-a-Lot, but that would be not a fun place to find the cape down the road. But for now, that's not worth the time to go in and maybe only find one item. We'll go straight for Hammer, and then I would fully expect to see Swamp Palace afterward.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well. At least from Swerb sides, it's kind of that idea. It's like you've got a crystal dungeon you can complete, especially something like Swamp Palace, where it basically gave you every single tool for it. You kind of have to run it at this point.
Kind of an annoying place for that because there's no ladder, or you're gonna have to go back in through the Dark World portal. You can't just mirror cleanly for it, but that's a minor annoyance just for the way that the placement is.
Yeah. And no, Misery Mire wasn't where I was thinking the cave would be. Granted, that would be a rude location as well, but I've got a little bit more of a rude location for it. But again, as long as I don't say it, it's not a commentary curse, so it should be fine.
Fair enough. So kind of interesting, most Landmo fights in Rando, you've got Fire Rod or usually Silvers or something. Just 10 minutes ago, when Swerb could have beaten this dungeon, he was still on Fighter Sword. So the upgrade to Temperate at least makes this fight fairly quick, even though we don't have some of the normal Rando luxuries for it. So nicely done, just a quick Tempered fight, and our first crystal for Swerb. Technically evening it up 1-1 for the moment.
Jet is heading into the Mire area, so definitely I'm sure we're going to end up seeing Desert Palace as well.
No doubt.
Okay, Swerb. So this makes a little bit more sense for Swerb. I don't believe he checked Bumper Cave.
You might be right. Yeah, no, Swerb didn't go up to the Skull Woods area. So Jet's the only one with that knowledge. This is interesting. The first couple rooms of Misery Mire, they're a time sink. Almost no matter what equipment you have. It takes a little bit of time to even get into the dungeon. So you're really hoping that something's here, because he knows he doesn't have Samaria. But this is the kind of thing, if we find really any sort of progression, like it wouldn't need to be the cape to get Samaria. If we find any sort of progression here, it's probably going to be time well spent.
We're talking about progression. We've got flippers. We know where the hammer is. We know it's locked. We know where Samaria is. What else are we missing to actually be in go mode? Is it just bow and fire rod at this point? Is that all we're actually missing?
And fire rod. You know what? That might be it. Bow Fire Rod and then Cape to get Samaria.
Okay, that's right.
There's a couple of variables down the road, but ultimately those are the things that we need. There's Quake. That's not what we wanted to see.
We don't want to see Cape.
Opens up the possibility for something to be in Turtle Rock down the road, although Cape and Kana Samaria cannot Fire Rod, and Bow potentially could, so it makes for an interesting thing to keep in mind. Big Key's in a relatively friendly position. And there's still 4 checks for Swerb to make here, so pretty good chance to find the second item on this first visit.
And to make sure not to take any damage, only at 1.5 hearts. So yeah, that's 2 items, so Meyer not paying off.
No, unfortunately not. Very, very small chance that Quake Medallion's required, but it's a good routing attempt. It was an interesting choice. The kind of thing that could either really help in a big way or just be a little bit of a time sink.
Yeah, it's definitely something we'll have to talk to him about if we get him in for an interview.
A lot of this game, when it comes to the routing, is just about making a decision. And sometimes you make that decision and you just stick with it, for better or worse. I'm very curious, though, as to where Swerb is. Oh, well, he had to come into the Dark World from this point anyway, so never mind. Ignore me on that. This will be how he gets to the hammer.
Might feel kind of bad about that Misery Meyer play in just a second, because once he sees that, it's like, oh dear, what have I done?
I guess he's also going to get his first glimpse in the Lumberjack Cave. I guess that was Jet that came here earlier. I couldn't recall if it was both of them or just one. So that's like a double whammy there. You see the Kana Samaria, you see the shovel. It's like, okay, what more could go wrong? I should go get that hammer like now and just start doing things.
See, I guess it'll be interesting that play to Misery Meyer. I wonder if, since he found nothing, if he ends up feeling like, I feel like I'm behind because of the decisions I've made, maybe I should do something silly like a gamble. And, if you're going to make a gamble that's going to save you a bunch of time, doing Aegir for the shovel and hoping something's there, that's the biggest thing you can hope for.
That would absolutely be a gamble. But yeah, it goes to what we were saying earlier. Like, one small thing can totally change a runner's mindset. And yeah, it's interesting to wonder how a certain thing may or may not be affecting them. Big thing is, just no matter what happens, commit to your decisions. You're not making... That's the other thing with rando. So often, the incorrect choice is not the wrong choice. Like, when it comes to routing, you can do something that makes perfect sense and just not get the item that you need. Therefore, technically, it's not the right choice. But you just gotta own your decisions when you're playing this, and everyone's got their reasons for why they go where they go.
So far, though, the new checks we've gotten with Bonk Rocks and Graveyard Ledge, nothing. King's Tomb, this king was not very rich, just having 20 rupees buried with him.
And I guess at this point, we're going to see a play all the way over to Catfish. Very thorough routing, I will say, just making sure that everything is being checked. And Jet seeming to do the exact same. So, for the moment, I guess between Jet's Hera play and Swerv's Meyer play, there's really no difference.
The only major difference is Swerb hasn't done Thieves Town. That's kind of the big difference.
Oh,
Jet,
yes.
uh,
I guess that alone is a big difference. Just a heart piece from Catfish, so we are just going to say no to that. Keep on moving.
I think at this point we're at what? 9 hearts if I'm counting those right. It's like I think both runners feel more than comfortable with 9 hearts, even though they're only on green mail.
Yeah, it's a very comfortable position for the moment. Of course, blue mail would be nice, but we're early enough in the seed that there's a good chance of either finding a few more hearts or a mail upgrade that, for the moment, they're sitting very comfortable.
Yep, definitely.
The only thing I'm wondering, and I know we're closing in on this because there's only a couple more things, but when is somebody going to get that hammer? There's our first bow. So
you go get the hammer.
Yeah, now is the correct answer. Because that's Swamp Then, Pod, and Eastern, so that's another 3 crystals. That'll hopefully encourage Swerb to go back to Thieves Town as well for a 4th. So we're down to looking for the Fire Rod and the Cape at this point.
Got 3 crystal dungeons open to us right now as well. I think it is going to be a rush to crystal dungeons. And it wouldn't surprise me to see both of them do Pod Eastern first.
No, I think that's quite likely at this point. I mean, in terms of overworld, we've gotten most of that out of the way in the process. So dungeons are pretty much all that we have left. We see Jet fluting instead of running all the way back the way that Swerb did. Fairly similar in time. Might be a couple of seconds one way or another made up.
It's not too much.
We have not actually been to this area at all, have we? This is our first glimpse. So nothing here. For the moment, though, both of these runners doing the same things pretty much at the same time. We'll get a chance to let some execution shine. See if Jet's able to pull ahead. See if Swerb can get through these a little bit quicker.
Yeah, with right now, if you're kind of rooting for Swerb, you want him to get through these a little bit quicker than Jet, because he still has Thieves Town. So the difference you're seeing as far as like how far ahead Swerb looks, he still has an entire Thieves Town he has to do that Jet doesn't have to do. So Jet right now is probably in the lead by a couple minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, I'd say, maybe a little bit more.
That he is. Interesting thing, I believe that there was an item in the Thieves Town Big Chest that Jet, unfortunately, had to leave behind, not having a hammer at the moment.
No, because when he completely skipped the maiden chest, so I think he was counting and had 4.
Fair enough, then. All right.
We do have a bow-locked pod, though.
Well, it's a good thing we have a bow, then. Half magic nice and early. Just good convenience for the rest of the seed. Yeah, in terms of what we need and what we have available right now, we have a lot available in terms of places to go, several crystal dungeons to get through. We're not looking for a whole lot between both runners. So, I mean, who knows when we're going to find it? It might be toward the tail end. They might be scattered. They might both be in the same dungeon. There's a potential in this seed to wind up seeing quite a bit of quite a number of dungeons being go-moded then.
Yeah, and Swamp being one of them, depending on what we find in Eastern and Pod.
Mm-hmm. But knowing what we're looking for, I feel confident saying you want to find the Fire Rod first in this case. If we happen to find the Cape first to lead to Cana Samaria on Bumper Ledge, then that opens the door for Fire Rod to be in a really unfortunate location. So if we find Fire Rod first, then that just completely rules out one dungeon entirely, that being Turtle Rock.
Yeah, Turtle Rock, when it's a pendant, it's one of those things. You just hope you never find the medallion to open it up. So in this case, it's Jet doesn't even know that it's Quake. He hasn't even been to Death Mountain, so that might be a play that he ends up making after this if he doesn't find anything, unless he wants to just charge the crystal dungeons. So that would make up a little bit of time. But not having Quake or anything like that, if he sees it, it's like, okay, I don't even have to think about this anyways because I'm missing Quake.
Yeah, and as you said, Jet hasn't been up to Dark Death Mountain yet. Swerb has. So I don't know what all Jet could do right now that isn't in a crystal dungeon that would be new information for us. We don't have Bombos or Fire Rods, so Ice Palace is off the table for now. Shovel? Gosh, you're doing all your crystal dungeons before you go for that.
Yeah, and I would be shocked to see Jet do Aga to get that crystal before going to Death Mountain with how many checks he has there.
Yeah, that's very, very unlikely to be seen. But it's a nice, comfortable place that we're in right now, though. There's another 3 dungeons to complete for a crystal, which would take Jet's total crystal count up to 5, and he can probably have that done right around the hour mark at this point. So I think he's in a very comfortable position for the moment.
Well, you remember how you said Ice Palace wasn't available?
I do remember saying that. Should I not have said that?
Well, we got a Bombos medallion out of pods, so
Oh boy.
it is now.
Okay. Well, at least it's new information. I'm going to go with that as my response.
Hey, all you kids that love nude glitches, we don't have the Samaria yet, so you can't Icebreaker either.
I get to see it the old fun way. Maybe. We still might not see it at all. It is green pendant, so that adds a little bit of value to it. But it is a very, very long feeling dungeon when you don't have Samaria.
Yeah. I feel like if we see that, it's going to be after Swamp on Jet's side.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I don't see either of these runners going there before finishing off their crystals, because one of those things gets you into Ganon's Tower, the other one does not.
Like, I guess I could see potentially Swerb maybe checking it after Swamp Palace just because he's in the area already, but Thieves Town is kind of one of those dungeons. It's not really much faster when you go mode it. You still have to go through almost the entire dungeon. You basically just save time not having to check chests, which in this case, I don't remember if the big key came before the sword. That would actually technically be potentially harmful to Swerb because, Jet will have a butter sword on him.
Yeah, all in all, Butter Sword compared to Tempered it's not the most deal-breaking thing, but I mean, as you can see, seconds matter. Jet had actually entered this dungeon just a bit behind Swerb, and I feel like has closed that gap a little bit on this, just between the routing and a little bit of the execution. Seconds matter. I mean, if the eyeballs on Vitreous take less time, as one example, there's a bunch of examples, but Swerb in a little bit of trouble here, though. He's good. Okay.
Yeah, that was took a lot of damage on Helmsaur. And that's kind of where it shows, hey, look, Butter Sword, you only have to swing a couple times, and he's down already. So Jet definitely made time on the Helmsaur King fight because of that sword.
But both runners out of here. Pod is taken care of, and we will be seeing Eastern Palace for the first time next. And remember earlier I said that you're not going to want to double dip, but a lot of people won't these days. I feel like it was more common a couple years ago, but paid off in this case, finding the bow, and we're just able to get through this whole area cleanly in one go.
I think it was before when we didn't have progressive bows. That was the whole idea. It's just like, well, chances are the bow's not here, but I could find something else critical. But now with progressive bows, it's just like it's a lot higher of a chance that you're just going to find a bow in some odd location, and then you wouldn't have had to double dip this.
Mm-hmm. It's always funny too, though. Like if you're going through pod and like you find that it's a bow locked dungeon, but then there's a bow somewhere deeper in it, and it's like it's a bow locked bow. It's kind of one of the fun things that progressive bows has led to at times.
Have seen that a few times. It is quite funny.
Gosh, I think one of those times I had that I mirrored out of pod after getting the bow locked bow, and then found the unbow locked bow in Eastern. Game's weird.
Randomizer does randomizer things.
Like giving you bees in a bottle?
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say, this is just like a really nice casual stroll through Eastern Palace right now for both of these guys.
I mean, whenever you get to run Eastern Palace and you have the boots, it feels great. So many just long, straight paths that you get to dash down.
That's true. A lot of these rooms are just very, very plainly shaped. So that does facilitate the use of the boots.
The one dungeon in vanilla that you don't have them for.
Swerb getting onto that switch just a little bit before Jet. So we'll get that big key and move on. At this point, the one thing that might save Swerb a little bit of time, I don't think enough to necessarily close the gap on its own between Thieves Town and not for him and Jet right now. But if he happens to find Fire Rod and he's able to go through that whole area, Village of Outcasts again, and Skull Woods just in one pass, that might ultimately make that a little bit cleaner. Just small optimizations here and there.
Yeah, I think what needs to happen for Swerb to come back, though, the Fire Rod can't be on the path at the moment. It has to be off the beaten path, and he kind of has to make that decision to find it before Jet. Like, place for him for it being either the Fire Rod or the Cape. One of those two kind of have to be off the beaten path. Probably is Ice Palace, because I see Jet going up the mountain before going to Ice Palace.
Swerb unfortunately missing that first shot on the Armos, but they loop around fairly cleanly, and he's able to pick that right back up. And there's the Fire Rod, which is good news for Swerb, and bad news in a sense, because Jet has it as well. Well, there goes the Ice Palace theory.
Yeah, Cape to go mode.
Right. So for Jet, this is looking really, really good right now. Even for Swerb, it is. He is just a little bit behind, but he's going to be able to go through several dungeons right now as well and just keep rolling out those crystals. And that's the ultimate thing. This is still a fairly close race within a couple of minutes.
Might be a little bit more than that, just because Swerb hasn't even checked Skull Woods yet, to my knowledge. Like, he came back here, but he went straight to the north. So he still has to look for items.
True.
So
and I do think that there's another item here still.
Yes, I believe so. I'm pretty sure we only saw one out of Jet side. We saw the bug net.
Correct. And that was on the left side. So Swerve's going to go to the right first, which is just a small key. So maybe he goes all the way around this loop right now, too.
granted, if we find the cape here, he's in the best position to grab the Cane of Samaria. Then he does get to go mode Swamp Palace because, I mean, yeah, you got the Fire Rod, but Jet's already heading into Swamp Palace at this point.
Mhm.
So
That would be no. You're right. That would absolutely be best case then if the back of Skull, at least indirectly leads to the cape. Like I'm wondering, powder maybe or a mushroom. But I mean, best case of course would be if like Moth drops it directly.
yeah, I mean, I think either way,
Like, what is going on? Why can't he open the chest?
I don't know.
What? Did he bomb jump across?
He did bomb jump across.
That shouldn't have done anything. That's okay. That's a new one. That is a new one, folks.
Yeah, I've never seen that before.
He still can't open it.
I mean, the item isn't there, so
right. But he doesn't know that. That okay. Well, let's just see what happens from here on, I guess. So yeah, as we were talking before, I don't believe that Jet actually came to the back area of Skullwoods, even to the vanilla big key chest that we're about to see from Swerb.
might have to do it. So he got picked up and grabbed by, or he mirrored and grabbed the. I guess this is what our tracker's saying. He looked like he got grabbed by the wall master while picking up the big key and mirrored at the same time, and that might have caused some kind of a glitch.
You know what? I thought that the animation looked kind of strange. I wasn't sure why. I do know that this game has a very big problem doing two things at the same time, though. And I don't know if... I mean, he's already mirrored once, so resetting the dungeon didn't seem to help. I'm wondering if he might wind up needing to save and quit. We'll see what happens when he gets to the back of the dungeon. Because, like, with Ganon's Tower, if you do the despawn glitch by accident, you mirror, everything's fine. That doesn't seem like it was the case for this. In my years watching and playing this game, I've never seen that one. This game is always teaching us new silly things.
Version 1.0 strikes again, I guess? I don't know.
Could be. Just as long as it doesn't prevent him from opening, like, chests in other dungeons? I don't know. I wonder...
I feel if it... You have to do it. You just have to do a full save and quit and come back and like, that fixes it. But yeah,
beat this dungeon, take care of Moth, and then just do a save and quit just as a preventative measure, I guess.
Moth though. I guess I missed it, but apparently the cape is on Argus. So
I see. I did not see, but I see. So yeah, that will be go mode for Jet in just a moment.
Technically, it is go mode. You have the item. You need to go get the other item. You're not checking it.
It's go get the item mode, I guess. I don't know. So we'll get that Cane of Samaria off of Bumper Ledge. We'll take care of Skull Woods right at the moment too. So this is going to be very cleanly routed for Jet through the last little bit. So we'll see if Swerb has any better luck right now. Okay, he can open chests now. This is good.
Very good. I'm going to say this as well because you don't get to see this too often. Jet's in Go mode and hasn't even really checked Death Mountain other than the west side of Light Death Mountain. He's not even going to really check Dark Death Mountain, East Death Mountain, anything like that.
Right, yeah, because of where Hookshot was, he had mitts before that, so he hasn't done Paradox or anything.
Nope, he's going to run right through and probably not check anything. I mean, maybe Super Bunny Cave you check them because the chests are there in case you find silvers because, it is a little bit of a minor time save, but I mean,
That's a
we know
reasonable
Jet,
play on the way, but yeah, we'll see.
we know Jet doesn't need silvers.
Correct. So, with Jet in Go mode, the good thing for Swerb right now is that once he's done with Thieves Town, Swamp is basically his only option. So he's not going to be too far back on getting that cape and subsequent Cane of Samaria as well.
Yeah, unless he wants to gamble on something where it's just like, hey, this is an Eastern or an Ice Palace instead of going to Swamp because he feels like, hey, I made a mistake going into Mire. I need to hope that that cape is somewhere that's not in Swamp Palace, basically.
Mhm.
But we'll see what he does. I mean, it makes more sense to go to Swamp Palace just because it's a crystal. You can clear it. You've been able to clear it for a while now, so it does make sense to go to it as quickly as you can. But that is crystal number 6 for Jet, and we're not even an hour in. And Misery Mire, I believe the big key was in a fairly nice location as well. So this is going
It
to be
was in the lobby,
yeah. So
so not bad.
Mire's not going to be too long of a check.
We will see how he routes it, though. I would suspect after going through the bridge and the spike chest that you go left, then you hit the crystal switch. There are some runners that will go to the torch chests first. It's not something that you don't ever see. Some runners have a set path when they're going through dungeons like this, just looking for a big key. Some runners just do it on the fly. What happens, happens.
Yeah, well, we'll see, because, I mean, usually it's the fastest way, I guess, to check, technically. If the big key's there, you save some time by not checking the other ones, but we'll see how he does route it.
Mm-hmm. And you could make a case, too, for going for the... I'm actually not sure if it's map or compass chest. The one that's locked by the torches directly. Because if there is a small key in that chest, then you know that the big key is at the cutscene chest.
Yep.
So you can at least get a little bit of information from that.
We're only one room away from lighting the torches, so it does make sense, but...
And there's that Quake medallion again that Jet has no use for at this point.
He doesn't even know it has a use right now.
That's true. Fair enough.
Hey, Quake Medallion, I can go into Turtle Rock. Oh, wait. Don't need to do that this seed.
So we'll get that big key. Jet's going to be on his way through the back half of Misery Mire. Swerb going right for that fluid after finishing Thieves Town. And we're going to hope to see a number 4. And there we go.
That looks like 4, so... Swerb not, terribly far behind. Just going to be that Swamp Palace clear.
Mm-hmm.
Go to get the Samaria as well. That's about the only bad part is he does have to go back into that area now.
Right. And... I don't know. Seeing the Cane of Samaria there so much earlier on, like... You know you're waiting for the cape. And it's just, where's it going to be? Like, where am I going to find it? It's going to feel better to find it in a crystal dungeon right now, though, than beating this and not finding it and having to go to ice. So that'll be that. All in all, I mean, for the time that we're at right now, Swerb's not in a bad position. He's got 5 crystals at right around the hour mark, and we know that he's just a couple of minutes away from hitting that go mode himself.
I guess it's just the idea, like, how far behind is Swerb, if he does even feel behind, because it is one of those seeds, when you find the cape and you piece together the logic, it's just like, okay, if I would have actually just went and started clearing crystal dungeons, I could have, then I would have been in go mode a long time ago, and wouldn't have had to double dip, Misery Mire, things like that.
Mm-hmm. That is true. This was a strange seed in terms of having several visible items that we've essentially had to come back for. Any one of these runners could have changed their routing and delayed getting one of those items, whether it be the hammer early on or the flippers off of the desert torch. There's a lot of variability that could have happened within this seed. So I don't know. I think this is one that you just feel more weird about than necessarily behind.
But our tracker has started a game that we like to play when somebody gets 7 crystals. We play the Ganon's Tower Big Key guessing game.
I was just going to ask you about that, about what all of these wonderful numbers in chat meant.
Well, everybody's guessing locations, so 1 to 22, somewhere. The big key's got to be somewhere in those locations. We don't know where it is. We have no idea. You're all guessing to figure out where it might be. But what's your guess, DT?
I have no idea. I tried to guess it during my race last night, and I was wrong, so it doesn't even matter.
I was wrong on my race, too. I was hoping it was right side, and then it ends up being vanilla. Entirely vanilla. So I'm going to go with, I don't know what number it's going to end up being. I'm just going to go with locations. I'm going to say Bob's chest.
Okay. I haven't seen the map chest in a while, so I'm going to go with the map chest. Swerb setting up a bomb diver down. Don't have Samaria. That's one of those tricks where if you don't have an item, there's still another way to do it, and I think that's actually really neat. So yeah, Jet entering Ganon's Tower at 1 hour, 5 minutes, and 30-ish seconds. This is a fantastic time.
Yeah, barring anything just completely garbage happening to Jet at this point, this should easily be a sub 120.
Mushroom and a small key. Well, if it were Key Sanity, a mushroom is like the last thing you would want to see here, but we don't have to worry about that.
Not this week, at least.
True. Still no sign of silvers, although that's much more of a curiosity than a concern at this point. I always like to know where they are. At least I do. Maybe not everybody does, but...
I mean, Ganon's going to tell us. He's cool like that.
But I want to know now. I'm curious, Sir Link-a-Lot.
Well, maybe Jet will find them. Hey, there's the ice rod. Now we can
Oh, maybe we can go get silvers off of Trinox, right?
Well,
Alright, so big key, nice and early in GT, compass room for location number 6.
I do not know how to pronounce that name whatsoever.
Looks like Tesla coil.
Yeah, there we go. That's what it is.
Congratulations.
You guessed it correctly and you got some points. And it looks like Brittlewinds also guessed correctly. Just wasn't first. Still got some points, though.
So the good thing for Swerb, even though that early Misery Mire dip did not pay off, and it was a valiant effort, and I commend you for doing so, he's not going to have to look for the big key when he heads back in there. He's already got that, so getting through the dungeon is going to be relatively quick at this point. He'll pick up that cane, mirror, flute away in a moment.
Just, I don't want to say a nice quick trip into Mire, because I don't think anything inside of Mire is considered quick. Unless you get a God Mire, that's about it. But
How about relatively not as slow?
there we go, that works. Monsters in that kind of last room of the gauntlet didn't really want to cooperate too well for Jet.
Now, sometimes they don't. All in all, really, really good gauntlet. He's through already. Just some quick fire rod shots on Landmo, and we'll be upstairs. Just as a little bit of an equipment update, we're talking about being on green mail and 9 hearts earlier. That has increased for Jet up to 12 hearts. Still on green mail, but more than enough safeties in terms of powder. I believe we have a potion. I mean, he just flipped right through. There's a blue potion. So in terms of the remainder of the game, there is nothing to worry about at this point. Jet's done this hundreds of times.
Yeah, I don't see anything bad happening here. Obviously, bad things can happen to the best of runners sometimes, but I don't see anything happening really.
If there's one thing in my years of watching Jet, it's how consistent his execution tends to be. Like, he knows the game. He's very, very good at it, and he really doesn't have execution mistakes too often. And with Buttersword, just a quick 2 swings on Moldorm 2.
And while he's blowing up, Swerb finishes off Vitreous to get crystal number 7.
And Swerve will be entering the tower. I want to estimate roughly 7.5 minutes behind. So all in all, still close. Despite the times here being just at the 70-minute mark, any race that finishes or has a gap of this amount of time is still a close race.
Swerb probably will be getting into GT just as Jet's finishing, maybe a little bit after.
About a touch after at this point. Depending on Hega 2 patterns, those are pretty good. Okay. And with that, Jet actually made it through that whole tower in about 6 minutes. Consider that. That's a fast tower. I mean, Big Key was cooperative, no doubt.
No, that was definitely a very good GT.
So here we go. Jet's on Ganon. 6 slashes phase 1, phase 2. The normal 4 in phase 3. And then we get to find out where the silvers were. And then we get to watch Silverless Ganon.
I'm voting for Turtle Rock for silvers.
Okay. I'm gonna go Ice Palace. The 2 main places that we haven't seen, so. Although, there's a lot of GT we haven't seen. And that has more items than both of them, so.
I don't want to see silvers in GT. That's boring.
That's fair. You are correct. Turtle Rock. Congratulations, you got it.
Didn't get the big key right. I got that right. It's okay.
Yeah, you're 1 for 2. I mean, that's fine, right?
I mean, 50% is better than 0%.
I agree. But yeah, absolutely no concerns about magic for Jet. Setting up to get these triples by lighting the torch just as Ganon settles. And this is going to be a very quick phase 4. Top right corner is not friendly. He's going to have to delay just slightly. That's always a tough one to get. But he'll be back on track in just a moment. So, meanwhile, on the other side of the screen, Swerb decided to go right, which is good, because the big key is in here.
It's your big key.
And Swerve's going to be able to climb the tower as well, as Jet is just about to walk across that bridge. GG's to Jet.
Everybody get GG's in chat, where he is going to finish with an official race time GG time of 1 hour, 13 minutes, and 54 seconds.
Really just an outstanding time. You know, the term Jet Seed is defined right before you. Really, like I said just a few minutes ago, really strange seed in terms of where some locations were, but the right routing is able to just make it work.
Yeah, definitely. Like we said, jet seeds were named jet seeds for a reason. It's not just because they're fast, and jets also go fast.
Even if both statements are true.
I would hope they're both true. If jets are fast, then not really sure what's wrong. I know you would know a lot more about potentially what could be going wrong with those, but
I like airplanes. Anyway, Swerb going through the gauntlet and going very cleanly through these first couple of rooms. Getting sniped a little bit by the red Zazak. Down a little bit on his health. We'll see if he takes the time to powder that bunny beam in the next room. He's just going to keep on moving on. That good old fighting spirit. You go, Swerb.
it's kind of hybrid combination there of using fire rod and swings.
Yeah, that's you'll see people with tempered or above generally go for a spin, and that'll get the first hit, and then the fire rod will take the second one on the first landmo. But the butter swing in that case did the exact same thing.
Yep. Those Stelphos do crazy damage when you were on green mail.
Yeah, things hurt. But just like that, Swerb is already up near the top of the tower, just a few more rooms to go. Light these torches. Of course, he's going to have to get a small key off of the mini Helmosaur. And at this moment, I would like to welcome in the winner of this evening's race, Jet. GG's. Welcome in.
GG, thank you. How's it going, guys?
It's going. It was a very enjoyable race to watch. Commenting several times on just the oddity of some of the locations of these items, between flippers on the Desert Torch, the hammer on the Hylia Island, that early knowledge of Samaria on Bumper Ledge, just a lot of things that you needed, like that one extra thing before you could finally get.
Desert was absolutely loaded. And I was thinking to myself, after I got flippers, I'm like, all right, I can go pick up hammer. And I was thinking of actually skipping the big chest if the item was in there. Just, because I didn't feel like I was ahead or anything. And it's just funny that the second item in Desert happened to also be required too. So it's a good thing it wasn't in the big chest because I might have skipped it.
Well, I guess the good thing there is eventually you would have needed to go back, right? Locations.
Yeah. I was thinking about Hera. I left something in the basement. So that was sitting on my mind for a while.
Yes.
And just, where's the cape? When's that going to pop up? I have no idea.
And fortunately, that was just right on the route. There was no avoiding.
This was a pretty fast seed. And I ended up working out despite seeing Shovel behind at Lumberjacks, which had me worried for a little bit. But overall, it just was sort of nice. It's sort of like, here's Hammer. You know what you need to get Hammer. Once you get Flippers, go pick up Hammer. And it's just like everything was sort of on the way.
Right. Yeah, I mean, seeing the shovel early is one thing. Knowing that you had the items to get to it relatively early, I mean, that had to have been on your mind a little bit. But then you just kept finding that one thing that pushed you away from needing to make that decision. So Swerb popping a red potion real quick in phase 3 of the Ganon fight.
13 hearts and green mail against Ganon is nice, but those fire bats do 4 and Ganon hugs do what, 6 or is it 8?
8 with green mail.
Yeah, it hurts.
It really hurts.
Never want to hug Ganon. Ganon doesn't like hugs.
No, Ganon loves hugs. You.
Missing the torch glitch, so this will slow it down a little bit, but with half magic, we're not going to be concerned about running out, especially having a bottle of green goo as a backup.
Definitely.
Nice timing, though, to get that spin right at the bottom left corner. Might get a triple. No, not going to get a triple here. That's okay. That was close. He's got a pretty good rhythm of getting doubles at least per cycle, and that's more than fine. Still a very solid phase 4. Almost got the hit up at the top of the room there.
Oh, nice one there.
It's got to be just about done now. I have not been counting. I will fully admit that.
Yeah, I want to say he's like 2 or 3 away, maybe, or 1.
One
Works too.
That works. Ganon has exploded. Swerb is in the final fanfare. Get those GGs in chat for Swerb.
And Swerb is going to finish with an official time of 1 hour 21 minutes on the dot, and we're also joined by Swerb in the booth. GG's.
GG, Swerb.
Yeah, thanks. GG. I'm alright with how things went.
I don't think there's ever a reason to not be for an 80-minute seed. You played well. Very confused about what happened to you in Skull Woods, as I imagine you are too.
Yeah, I knew what I did because, like, it's, how you break everything in this game. It's doing 2 things at the same time. I guess I mirrored and opened the chest at the same time.
We weren't sure if Master had anything to do with it too.
Yeah, which, like, I'd forgotten was a thing, but I was like, I vaguely remember this, and I, pulled up the rando Discord as I was, flailing around in Skullwoods trying to figure out what was going on. And, I searched, open chest mirror or something in the Discord, and saw, it only pulled up, 2 messages, both from, 2017, talking about it. It's, a vanilla bug, blah, blah, blah. And I had no idea how to reset it. I was like, am I just, boned? Because, if I save and quit, I can't, or if I reset, I was like, I didn't want to save and quit, obviously. I couldn't just, flat out reset either, because it'd been forever. So I was like, well, I'll just go kill Moth, and hopefully that will fix it, and it did.
It seemed to, yeah.
But
you mean this
that was
isn't
weird.
a well-programmed game? What? No, this is actually I am impressed with what they did. I mean, this is like a release game for the Super Nintendo, and it's still
Seems-
pretty good, but it's very buggy.
Yeah, it's like 30 years old. Like we don't know. We didn't know. They didn't know what they like. We know now as programmers today. So, like, and you do like anything in this game. Like I said, pretty much everything. How you break almost everything in this game is by doing two things on the same frame that you're not supposed to. And I don't know. That's an easy thing to have like, not really realize.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a lot of games back in the day. That's how you break everything. You just like do two actions at the same time that you're not really meant to. So I was like, that must have been what happened. That's why I searched for it. But I was like, I didn't know how to fix it, and that's what had me worried. And I was like, hopefully Moth fixes it, which is why, like, even though I had both items, I went and checked that other chest in Skullwoods. Because I was like, I don't want to go into Thieves Town and then not be able to open chests.
Right. No, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, yeah. There's also this is the buggiest version of the game, so that we play intentionally.
That's very odd
And
when
then,
you put it like that, but
and
it's
then
also
everyone makes fun of it for being buggy.
I like my hammer dashes, so I don't mind.
oh, hammer dashes are great. But yeah, all in all, this was a really, really good race. I enjoyed watching both of you run through it. There were enough routing differences to keep it real interesting. Swerb, you had a very early lead. I would say, in terms of the items you found by going to the desert area. Quite a bit sooner than Jet. So you got hookshot. You had the flipper knowledge early.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that hook shot didn't lead to anything on Death Mountain. So
That was very bizarre. Jet actually did not wind up doing any of East Death Mountain.
yeah.
And missed absolutely nothing. Very rare treat for a seed like that.
Yeah, it's just like those early mitts and the flute. I was like, and the mirror. So I was like, I'll go check out like Meyer area, and then like I wanted to know if desert was boot locked, so I hopped in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, you might as well grab like the big key and check for the items. I found the hook shot, and I was like, oh baby. I was like, because I knew in my head, I was like, there's a decent chance that Jet didn't do this. Like, it would make sense to just go straight to like Village of Outcasts in the Dark World. And so I was like, I better follow this hook shot and like try to, push this potential like advantage. And then nothing turned up, and I was like, well.
Purely curious though, Swerb, what inspired that early Meyer dive?
I don't know. I was in the area. I could full clear. Like, when you go into Meyer, you have to look for the big key anyway. And I don't like, honestly, like I know Jet is a better player than me, like, just straight up. He's always been better. Like, we've both been playing Rando for, I mean, at least like as long as I have, like 4 years, like since that first tournament, right, Jet?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Did we face each other in the first tournament? I know you were there. So long ago.
No.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe we've been
No,
playing
the
Random this long.
Different groups, and I don't believe met in the brackets, but you did both make brackets in that first tourney.
Yeah, I got eliminated in like the first bracket or the first round of the bracket. So I knew like going in, I kind of had to maybe make a few risky plays to try to equal things out. And like I said, I wanted to get the flippers out of desert, so because I wanted to get that hammer, and so I was like, I might as well just finish desert while I'm here, and then if I'm also here, I might as well head into Meyer and poke around, see what items are there, and get the big key. And I found both items in the big key, so I was like, well, let's get out of here.
I was tempted after getting, flippers and hookshot. I was tempted by Death Mountain. It's such a item dense location, but I really wanted to pick up hammer first, and so that's why I routed the way I did. And just lucking into bow right before hammer, I'm like, well, I guess I'm doing pod eastern because I can now, and always do dungeons, so swamp right after. That's sort of why I ended up skipping Death Mountain. I was about to do it, and I was weighing that between maybe early dip pod, and I had all the bonk locations, so I'm like, this is sort of fast, worth it's on the way to get hammer versus going up the Death Mountain. That's sort of like what I was thinking on the way.
Yeah, no, absolutely, that made sense.
50-50
I was just like, like I was like, maybe the boots are up there. Like there's so
Yeah.
many items, and just having like mitts and hook shot and flute. I was like village. I could just go to Village of Outcasts, but also like knowing that the hammer was on the island, I was kind of reluctant to dive Thieves Town right away. So I was like, I'm not gonna do that on my first trip through. So I need to find those boots. So I went up to Death Mountain first. But yeah, I mean, also the mire dive hurt me quite a bit. But you did escape, which I did the back, obviously, but I didn't do the front. Because my plan was like until that, well, not necessarily like that bow. Until that bow showed up on Pyramid, I was like debating whether I wanted to go into escape while I was there.
Right.
But then the bow was like, well, no way. Like, I'm gonna do pod and Eastern because I have bow and hammer. Like, I'm about to go grab the hammer. And then that was the 2 red crystals, so I was like, I can do escape when I do Pyramid Fairy if it comes to that. Which it never did, but
I ended up doing escape before, going up to Death Mountain. It was sort of like if Hera was a crystal, like I would have went like right up there first. But the fact that it was a pendant, I'm sort of like, escape. There's 3 items plus 2 by Uncle. It's like there's 5 here versus 5 at Death Mountain. It's faster to escape. That's why I end up choosing escape. It's just sort of like feels bad when you go, and just the same thing in this seed doing Death Mountain, like committing to something with a lot of chests and getting absolutely nothing out of it. Like it feels bad, and then you're like, you start feeling behind whenever that happens.
yeah. Totally. I mean, that makes sense too. Like, I chose Death Mountain because it was just like, we had like flute and mirror and like lamp and a sword. Like Hera was full clearable even if it wasn't a pendant, or even though it was a pendant, not a crystal. And so it was like between that and escape, I was like, well, I mean, all these items that open up Hera could just be a coincidence, but it could also just be because I need them, so I'll go there first.
We got that
But-
early lantern and a 1 sword. I'm like, again, with shovel being where it was, I'm thinking like, and hammer being where it was before I even knew where mitts were. It's sort of like, is this like an Aga required seed? And even after mitts, it could potentially still be an Aga required seed by logic if flippers were like in pod.
Yeah.
So it's like the whole time it's like, is this an Aga seed? I don't even know yet.
Well, that's also why I wanted to put off escape until like I was ready to, until I could either do Aga or not.
Yeah.
So I could just do that all together. I didn't check Lumberjack. I actually do usually check Lumberjack at the beginning of the seed, but I didn't today. So I didn't know about that shovel until after I had boots. And I saw it. And I saw Kate, like I did it with the North Dark World checks. I saw Kane on Bumper Ledge. And I was like, okay, well, we got to find the cape. And then I went in there into the Lumberjack. And I saw the shovel. And I was like, oh, boy. All right. Well, hopefully that's nothing, but that could also be cape or something dumb. And then just ended up being a Stoops Jet Seed.
It's true.
But it's, yeah, it was fun.
Well, like I said, it was a good race. It was a lot of fun to watch. I was wondering for a while just how strange the seed was, knowing that so many items were visible and that you still needed like one more thing to get like all of them pretty much. And it was interesting to wonder what was going through your minds having several situations like that in the same game. But you both played great. Both finishing with very respectable times. Like I said, anything at the 80-minute mark is still a fantastic time on any of these open mode seeds. So GG's again to both of you.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add in? I honestly could sit here listening to you guys talk about the seed for another hour.
You guys in chat should stick around because our team has our second race right after this on this channel, I think, right?
Yep. I got a doubleheader. I told Pico Pals before this race that he was gonna have to beat. He was gonna have to win his so we could go 1-1 for the week. So I held up my part of losing this race, Pika. So it's your turn to hold up your part and win, please.
Well, good luck to your team, Swerb.
All right, good luck to your team. And it was fun. And like I said, I got to the. Usually, my goal in a one-on-one is like if I can get to the for like a normal 7-7 open. Like if I can get to the GT cutscene before my opponent finishes,
Yeah.
like that's close enough to where like I don't need to feel bad.
You don't
That's
feel
usually
bad
just
when
like
you're in GT.
yeah, like a few decision differences right there is all it takes. So yeah, so GG.
GG.
GG's. Well, I'd like to thank Bandman once again for keeping this race tracked for us. It looks like Bandman is going to be tracking the next one as well. So pulling that double duty for the double header. Good luck to both of these teams in the next race, and of course throughout the rest of the league as well. Sir Link-A-Lot, take us on out of here, my friend. It's been great commentating with you again.
Yeah, it's been great. We'll have to see if we can make it happen again. Hopefully not wait so long before the next time. But like Jet stated, don't go anywhere. We do have another race on Speed Gaming 4 between the Findrana Drifters and CLW. It's Frostbite 3030 versus Pika Pals. You're not going to want to miss it.